Hello and welcome to another video. First things first, I have changed my camera. I am now shooting this on a Sony Handycam DCR-SX34. So that means I get to use my tripod, slightly better quality and all that good stuff. So first video with the new camera should be putting an end to something. And we are putting an end to the Hewlett-Packard 2133. No, we're not putting an end to it in the respects of destroying it. Far from it. But I just want to kind of close this chapter. So here it is. Let's have a little look. For those who have not watched the previous videos, please do go back and see them. You'll see a full walk around the machine and ports and whatever else. There's a few things to note. First of all, I'm going to plug in the power so that this thing can charge, which I probably should have done beforehand, but there we are, you know, so professional and everything. So let's turn this on. Before I go over exactly everything that I've done, some mild passive aggressiveness. The Retro Machines Facebook group that I'm a part of and have been for some time, there is somebody on there who made a comment about this while it was running Windows 8.1 and that it wasn't retro and didn't belong here and that I should go off to somewhere else or something along them lines. Well, to that person and anybody else who's watching this thinking, oh, that wasn't retro, blah 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 blah, yeah, I'm already aware of that. Thank you for stating the obvious. Now, the whole idea of me putting Windows 8.1 on this was to see just how far I could push this machine. I didn't intend to keep it running Windows 8.1 at all. That would just be quite silly. So, the machine originally shipped with OpenSUSE 10 or Windows Vista. However, in the netbook craze, it wasn't unheard of for people to downgrade from Vista to Windows XP. This machine has full driver support for Windows XP and actually performs rather well. It's probably going to be super loud when it logs in as well. Oh, not quite. So, for anybody thinking, oh, you weren't running a retro operating system and everything else, well, as you can see, I am now. So, we put that to bed. Also, with the combination of hardware in this, whether or not it passes for retro is irrelevant. It's still a very odd combination that you don't see very often. Now, one of the things that I have done with this machine is whipped out the original motherboard. That's right, apart from the charger, half the keyboard and the battery, this is not the same machine that I bought originally. Now that's down to the fact that the original machine that I purchased was an absolute mess. It was disgustingly filthy, it stank, it was covered in scratches, damage, etc. And I now, well, hopefully have managed to cure that. I went online to a popular internet auction site and found an upgraded motherboard. Now this motherboard is a new old stock Hewlett-Packard replacement part, and it had the 1.6 gig via C7M. Now 1.6 gig is not a lot, but when you bear in mind that it's a single core processor with no hyper-threading at all, and this machine was running originally a 1.2 gig. Yeah, how it was even running Windows 8.1 I still have no idea really. I mean, there was one or two small graphical glitches and there was an error with the Windows Store, which I'm sure would have rectified eventually with proper updates and whatnot, but that Windows 8 was never going to stay. It was always going to be Windows XP in the end. Now, while some people are saying, oh, why are you running Windows XP, why are you running Windows XP, well, there's two reasons. One, this is using the Windows XP registry hack, which, regardless of whether people believe that it's legal or not legal or whatever, the fact of the matter is this machine's still getting updates to 2019. I believe it's 2019, feel free to correct me. Basically the registry hack tricks it into thinking it's a cache machine, for example, and therefore gets the extended Windows support for business users. As I say, that may be breaking end user license agreements and whatever else, but to be quite honest, I don't care. And I don't even think that Microsoft really cares. So it's one of those things. Now, that's not to say that it's all going to be up to date forevermore, amen. I mean, the antivirus manufacturers and whatever else, they could very well pull support for Windows XP completely. So regardless of it still getting updates from Microsoft, it may not get updates for other programs that are on there. The other thing that I've had to remove is I've had to remove the 120 gig SSD. Windows XP was giving that drive an absolute thrashing. Now, that may be down to the lack of trim support and whatnot, I don't know, but the fact of the matter is, it was kind of killing the drive. So that's come out, and a fairly new, as in it's about a year old or so, a fairly new Western Digital blue drive is in there. It's a 250 gig drive, so more storage space, I suppose, for whatever it is I decide to actually do with this. To be quite honest, now that this machine is done and it's basically like new, I may very well put it on extended loan to the Cambridge Computer Museum, as they like, you know, weird and wonderful things. It's pretty much done. The only thing that I would like to do is add the 6-cell battery to it, which at the moment it's got a 3-cell. The 6-cell battery will actually prop the machine up slightly, which makes for a nicer typing experience, I suppose, but also at the same time you've got the extra battery life, and a little bit more cool air can actually get underneath the system. So I was going to show you some bits and pieces of, you know, in terms of what this machine can do, but to be quite honest, there's nothing really that I can do that's going to be, one, overly impressive, and two, not get me hit with some form of copyright strike, because, you know, YouTube seems to all be about that at the moment. So I was going to put something on to demonstrate the machine, but in hindsight I think that may not be the best option. What I am going to do is I'm going to shut the machine down, because I want to show you something else that's underneath, and obviously with a spinning drive I don't want to be messing around with it too much while it's on and running. The machine is doing so many updates, it's unbelievable. Normally it's quite a bit nippier. Streets of Rage remake that's on there, which you can't get online anymore. Don't even bother going looking for it. That's running on this machine in the full 1280 by 768 resolution that this screen supports, and that is running at 60 frames a second solidly. It's actually a really good experience. Playing emulated games, Sega Mega Drive / Genesis, Nintendo NES, sorry, the SNES, play on here beautifully. Personally, I wouldn't push this machine too much past 16-bit emulation, because it's not the world's most powerful thing. It does for basic internet browsing, and when I say basic, I mean really, really basic. You know, YouTube and everything, it's out, really. Office work, so I can do spreadsheets, Word documents, etc. on here, and this machine's got Microsoft Office 2007 installed, which I know is old, and I know I could, you know, put on a new copy of LibreOffice and things like that, and yeah, it worked great and everything, but, you know, I had it lying around, I might as well use it. I prefer LibreOffice, to be quite honest, and all my other machines have it installed, but, you know, I was going for a full factory thing with this, so the operating system, all the OEM information and everything is all spot on and correct, the OEM logo, etc. It's even got the help and support centre and whatever else. I wanted to make the machine as original as I possibly could. And there we are. So, pull the charger out here, and it is an interesting charger. I don't know if you can see that. If I move my head out the way, you might be able to see it. There's a pin on the inside there. So no chance really of it being damaged. To anybody who owns a 2133 or a 2140, because they're pretty much the same machine, one's a Atom, one's a VIA system, if you flip it over, the intake vent here, there was like wire in there, like a filter mesh, which I have removed. Why have I removed that? Because the machine got monumentally hot, and as this is an aluminium chassis anyway, you would think that dissipate heat much better. It probably does, actually. This machine's saving grace probably is the fact that it is an aluminium construction mostly, which has probably helped out immensely. Otherwise it probably would have died by now. And it's not unusual, if you look online, to see people complaining, you know, older cached forums and whatnot, people complaining about these machines that have overheated and died. In fact, it was actually quite rampant, it seems. Now I've replaced, even though this is a brand new motherboard and had never been used at all, I've still replaced the thermal compound. I have removed, as I said, that filter mesh from in there, and pretty much nothing but cool air comes out of this. The machine idles at around 40 degrees. When it's being heavily used, it can go up to sort of 60, 62, which is a tad on the warm side, but for what this is, it's not unreasonable. It's a lot better than what it was though. That old 1.2 gig motherboard doing exactly the same stuff, obviously that mesh was still in place as well, was achieving sort of 80 odd degrees, which is just plain dangerous, really. And if anybody, on a final note, can tell me where I can get one of these via stickers from, you have a little look right there, please do let me know, because I've tried all the usual sorts of places that you would think, and I can't find them. So there's the HP-2133. It is finished, it is complete, and depending on what happens when I contact the Cambridge Computer Museum, if you are local or you're visiting Cambridge, I will post a future update to let you know what's happening. But if it's there, then you may very well see this very machine sat there for you to actually have a look at. Thank you very much for watching. Comment, subscribe, etc. and I will catch you in the next video.